This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On this episode of Sound Up this week, Krystal Keith, daughter of Toby Keith, and producer-director Alex Coletti join us to discuss this week's NBC All-Star special, Toby Keith American Icon, which features an amazing lineup of country stars paying tribute to the legendary country star who passed this February.
Plus, a lot of music news. We will discuss the big rumor, might be more than a rumor by the time you hear this, that Oasis is finally getting back together, which producer Roger Coletti insists he called on the last episode.
I did pick it last week when I did new music and played that Oasis demo, and I said this band needs to get back together.
Needs to. Sure, we all co-sign on that, Roger.
That's not the same thing as calling it.
I put it out there.
It was Roger speaking to the universe. Finally, Roger, thank you. I wish you wouldn't have waited so long to make this happen.
Meantime, there's other stuff. Linkin Park are counting down to something. Queens of the Stone Age canceled their tour for health reasons. Post Malone's F1 Trillion album tops the charts.
All this plus a few Sound Up Pod Squad concert reviews, and as always, our new music picks of the week. Before we get to all of that, a quick note that next week's episode, the first one of September, is going to drop on Wednesday, September the 4th, because, excuse me, we've all got celebrity barbecues to attend on Labor Day, and we just don't have the time.
Your last chance to wear white, Mark, before the season ends.
You're so right. You got me. Also, we do have new videos up on our YouTube channel from recent interviews with the Wild Things, which is amazing. Mikel Jolet of the Airborne Toxic event and quite a bit more. But before we get into news, what about some concert reviews? Any of us see some shows this week?
In fact, I think we all went to see some shows this week. So let's try and cover some ground. I'll start with the biggest, truth be told, the biggest gig that I went to in the last week was my niece Orit's bat mitzvah over the weekend, culminating in the party special viewing of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie. You'll see that I still have my 13 temporary tattoo here going. So, that was the peak. But before that, on the way down to that event, I stopped off in Philadelphia to go see Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band at Citizens Bank Park. I guess that's what it's called, the Phillies Stadium there in Philadelphia. A friend of mine called me up a few days before and was like, should we go? I haven't seen Bruce for years. Should we go to Philly? I'm like, that sounds like a really good idea. So we went last Wednesday, the first of two nights that he was playing down there. This is one of the makeup shows after he had to postpone those dates last year when he had the ulcer problem or whatever that all was. What am I going to say? Show was great. He's going to be 75 years old next month. Yeah. Show was great. Did 3 hours 10, 3 hours,
God bless
somewhere
him.
In there. The show before, a couple nights before, the second show in Pittsburgh, was a real deep cut, big fan show. People were flipping out. Yeah. But this one he mixed some stuff up. Look, he played Streets of Philadelphia. It's the first time he's played it since, I think, 2016. It did not sound entirely fully rehearsed. Was not the greatest performance, but he did it. Opened with Atlantic City, kind of a local angle, a song that I love. So a great show opener. And this was very much a healing kind of a trip and a show for me after some of the family stuff I've had in recent weeks. Maybe I'm particularly vulnerable to this, but it's really striking. Bruce has always been about survival and about perseverance and all of that stuff, but how sort of death fixated the recent and older Bruce Springsteen has gotten for obvious reasons, as people in the band have died, as his friends have died, as he's looking at 75 years old, as he's been very open about his own depression and, his own mental health issues. But the center of this show, he played Philadelphia, then he played Night Shift, the Commodores cover from the Soul Covers album. Then he played, I don't know if I get the order here, but he played Last Man Standing from the Letter to You album. There was just this run of songs that were very explicitly kind of staring down death songs, and then sort of came out of that a little bit with Backstreets, but Backstreets takes on a whole other meaning coming out of a run of songs like that. Did a magnificent, best song of the night was Racing in the Street from the Darkness album. Just an epic version, a big long Roy Bittan piano solo that took that out, a spectacular performance. So, it's monumental to see it. It was great to have the excuse to do it one more time on this tour. He did a whole speech saying, this night he did a thing saying, we're not done. We're not retiring. Why would you ever retire from this? Why would you ever stop doing this? I don't know why people talk about that. I guess at the second show on Friday, he said, this is no farewell tour. We're not doing that. So, how long you can keep an E Street band going with all those guys is the question to be seen. But he is in full fighting shape and very glad that I made the trip.
Man, I'm glad to hear. And it makes a lot of sense in terms of Bruce being 75 and that we all, when we cross a certain age and our friends, as you say, and our friends start to pass, it comes into the conversation.
It's always been there, losing relationships.
Sure.
And those are always sort of but it feels very front and center right now.
And you were moved.
I was, yeah. No, when I saw him early on the tour, I wasn't.
Yeah, either.
I don't know if you and I went this. I felt like it was strong and solid, and it was playing, but it didn't have. But the great shows kind of have a story or a momentum, that makes it more than just here's a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
And again, maybe this hit me at the right moment, but I've felt that. I felt that this was about something in that way that, that makes those shows special.
Yeah. All right. That's cool. It's not a farewell tour.
No, absolutely not. Adamantly not. Same night Roger was at another show in another state.
That's true. I was getting texts from Alan. Alan knows that my favorite Bruce Springsteen song and possibly my favorite song is Bobby Jean. And I got a little clip from Alan of Bruce doing it that night because he plays that song a lot, but he doesn't usually do Bobby Jean and No Surrender.
Right.
Did them both at this show, but I know that's your song, so I did have to send you.
But while Alan was in Philly with Bruce, I was in New Jersey seeing Bush on their Greatest Hits Loaded tour, which was really great. It was a great night. It was a beautiful night out, and it's Candlebox, Bush, and Jerry Cantrell. And I missed Candlebox, but I got there in time for Jerry Cantrell, who was spectacular. He's got such a good band behind him. It was a packed house by the time he went on, and he did a great mix of solo songs and a decent amount of Alice in Chains stuff. He's got this really good band with former members of Dillinger Escape Plan and Stone Sour backing him up. Jerry handles the majority of the vocals, the lead vocals, with the guy from Dillinger Escape Plan doing a lot of the backgrounds and some leads as well. But man, the Alice stuff sounds phenomenal. His solo stuff sounds excellent. And you realize when you see him without Alice in Chains doing that stuff, how much of the sound of Alice in Chains is Jerry Cantrell. Not only his guitar playing, but his vocals, all of it. He was fantastic. I mean, he could have easily headlined. That's
just the opener.
That's just the opener. And then Bush comes out, for this Greatest Hits tour. And they open with Everything Zen. And it just goes from there. That's how many hits they have that they could do that. Gavin is in inhuman-like, shape and looks fantastic, sounds excellent, is full of energy, runs around that stage. And it's just hit after hit after hit, including recent hits this band continues to rack up, whether it was Bullet Holes from the John Wick soundtrack or some of the more recent stuff they've released. It was a great night. And as Gavin promised when he was on our podcast, that night was going to be a celebration, and it was. It was his son's 16th birthday. So not only did he bring his son out on stage and had the whole place sing happy birthday, but his son came out and played guitar and joined him on Come Down for the finale, which was really, really cool. And just a great night.
And a reminder, as you said, if you're a fan and you missed our conversation with Gavin Rossdale just a few weeks back, you can go dig into the Sound Up archives and find that one.
It is there, and it is going to be on our YouTube page, the full interview shortly.
That's excellent. And he's still got the voice, huh?
Sounds just like you would expect.
That's something you have to ask that question these days,
Yeah, pretty impressive.
So I don't know what it is, but did we all wind up going to a show, different shows on the same night in different states?
So. Well, it's good. We cover the Eastern Seaboard.
I cover the waterfront. I covered Central Park on Wednesday night. Gaslight Anthem was playing live at Summer Stage in Central Park. It's a funny thing with Gaslight Anthem for me. This is the first time I've seen them live in all of these years. I mean, they've been around since mid-2000s, 2007 or something like that. And I don't know how. I think it's because they are always playing over in Jersey and on a Wednesday night or something. I'm like, crap, how am I going to get over there? I got to work, So finally saw them and was really blown away. It was a sold out show. And they are one of those bands that kind of changes up their playlist every night, which you love. And I got a few songs. I'm not as familiar with them. I just know that I love them. I know Bruce loves them and Bruce has played with them. So I really wanted to check them out. They opened with American Slang, which is a title track from one of their albums. And it was just a blast to open. That followed by 45, which is one of my favorites. Just an incredible song about love and loss and dealing with loneliness. So, and they go through a lot of the favorites: Spirited Jazz, Mulholland Drive. The last three songs seem to be the same in every set. I was checking back their set list. Great Expectations, the 59 sound, another title track, which was perfect, amazing. But the final encore, and I haven't seen them do this anywhere. They're all about covers. They do plenty of covers. They covered Smells Like Teen Spirit for the final.
Wow.
And Brian Fallon sounded so perfect doing it. It was invigorating. The show was so great. Everybody on their feet. And it's a special kind of a venue too. That is part of the experience. Outdoors, Central Park, beautiful night.
That was such a beautiful night. I'm glad that we all got to outdoor shows night of all night. Yeah.
So
not hot, just right.
Yeah. So Gaslight Anthem. I'm even more a fan now.
Great live band. Great live band.
Yeah. So, and they're out. I would suggest going and seeing them.
All right.
So there's our concert reviews. We are going to take a break in just a second here. When we come back, Krystal Keith, daughter of Toby, and a bit later, producer, director Alex Coletti is going to join us. We'll have a look behind the scenes of Toby Keith, American Icon, premiering on NBC on Wednesday the 28th, plus music news, reviews, and our new music picks, all coming up on Sound Up. All right, coming up tomorrow night on NBC, a celebration of one of country's greatest artists. Toby Keith, American Icon, airs on NBC tomorrow night. And to give us kind of an inside view, Toby's daughter, Krystal, joins us. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on Sound Up, Krystal. I can't even get my head around what it is for a daughter to take part in a situation like this. And on top of that, you being asked to sing that song.
Yeah. It was definitely, obviously it's an honor to be on the stage with all of those artists. It's an honor to be able to be a part of that. It didn't come easy for sure, just given that, it's only been a few months since his passing. So, it was took an emotional toll a little bit. We've had a roller coaster, but we are an incredibly strong family. We were raised to be strong and just do the next right thing, do everything that you need to do and just put one foot in front of the other. So we have a lot of, duties that have kind of been placed on our shoulders and responsibilities with our foundation and just his legacy, his career, his businesses. He was bigger than life in literally every facet. So, it definitely, he deserves this kind of tribute and we weren't going to let it happen without our involvement for sure.
For you, what's the goal for an event like this, for a tribute like this? What were you hoping this would reveal or illustrate or, put out into the world about Toby?
Well, I think the thing he always wanted to be known for was not his music. He always said that his career needed to be about something more than the music. So his philanthropic, our foundation and what the work he's done with that and how many lives that has impacted. I think it was important for us to show that behind closed doors, he was constantly working to just make our world a better place for kids with cancer and debilitating illnesses, to military families and military men and women, and his work with the USO and the different branches of the forces. So he really just, everything he did, his whole heart went into. And we wanted to show him as a family man and as the philanthropic person that he was and the patriot that he was and the amount of love he had for our military.
I was going to ask you about that because he's certainly known. That's one of the things that your dad was known for. And what did that mean to you? Part of the tribute was including the honor guard and the U.S. Army Band.
I don't think that you can have a tribute to Toby Keith or a Toby Keith themed event without having American flags and a military component. Like, they just, to us and to his fan base, they just go hand in hand. That was such a big part of his life. And he really loved and cherished all the time that he spent overseas with our military guys. Backstage, if you've ever been backstage at his concerts, I mean, there are anywhere from 20 to 60 wounded warriors hanging out backstage that he comes out and spends a lot of time with. I have, over my years on the road, spent time with them just because they're backstage. He just brings them back and he hangs out with them and kind of just gives them a VIP treatment. And they've kind of all gotten to know us through the years. So, he really he lived it. And so you can't have this kind of event without including the military.
You know these songs backwards and forwards and inside out, but hearing all of these other folks perform this music, whether it's Carrie Underwood or Darius or Eric Church or whoever it is, was there anything that, that you learned about these songs or that, that came out that made you see something else in, what these songs are?
Yeah, I think I was told that, most of the artists called and said, this is the song I want to sing, or they were asked, what song would you like to sing? We wanted to make sure they were comfortable with whatever song, we didn't want to assign them a song that they didn't know or have any emotional connection to. Carrie was one that from what I was told, literally, she was like, you can put me on anything and I'll sing it. Like, she just knew everything. I learned from Eric Church, you'll hear in the special, so I don't want to say everything, but he kind of goes into what my dad meant to him and how my dad's faith in him and bringing him out on the road has impacted his own career. You kind of heard from each artist a little bit about what my dad meant to them. I think it was really cool to hear that a lot of them have done his songs these are artists that sell out arenas. And even as a living artist, when my dad was still around, these artists were paying tribute to him with a song on their stage, on their tours. And I think that speaks volumes to the respect that they have for him. And it was definitely heartwarming to know how much of an impact he had on artists that this stage in their career are still reflecting on his impact for them.
Can you talk, since we're sort of alluding to some of the songs that artists have sung, can you talk a little bit about that Joe Diffie song that was handed to you? Yes.
Well, that's not the one I did. That's the one.
Oh, you didn't wind up doing that?
No. I didn't do that one. They asked me to do Don't Let the Old Man In, which is the song that my dad last sang on the People's Choice Award. Yeah. So that was his last national televised. Ships That Don't Come In made my performance hard because they didn't warn us of the timing, and they surprised everyone with a video of my dad's last recording session, which was on Ships That Don't Come In. He had recorded that in the studio for Hardy's project. And so they played all of that footage right before I had to go on stage and my sister had to go on stage. So we're like sobbing, like trying to, get ourselves together so that we could go out. My sister had to go out and introduce me and say the thank you for the family. And then I had to go sing. So that was watching those studio sessions was pretty impactful because none of us really were aware that footage was there until just right before the show.
We're going to be talking also to Alex Coletti, who was the director and one of the producers on this project. But from talking to Alex sort of before, during, and after the event, it seems like there was really a different feel to this night than sort of what we think of as these kinds of tribute shows. The way that it was organized, the way that, people interacted, just sort of the whole thing. Can you talk about just the feeling in the room and what you felt like was the thing to go for and what came out of that?
Yeah, I think first of all, Bridgestone is a large arena. I mean, that's a very big arena. So having most tributes, a lot of people don't know, but that is a really hard ticket to sell. There's a lot of tributes that come through Nashville. There's a lot of times, anybody that passes away in the industry kind of gets a tribute somewhere in some form. And a lot of those will sell tickets to try to, cover costs or whatever. And they are a really hard ticket to sell. They don't usually sell out. This one sold out like immediately. His fans are so loyal and they love him so much. And it was really cool to be there celebrating him with the people that have supported his career for 35 years. Usually, an award show kind of circuit, you're looking out at the audience, they're mumbling through words. They might catch every third word correctly, but they're just they're like, oh, I know the song, but don't really know the lyric. His fans know every single lyric. They are not mumbling through. it was just really cool to have that energy of like true love and fanship out in the audience and have that moment to celebrate that with them. And then the artists coming in, getting to choose their own songs, getting a moment to acknowledge his impact on them was really, really special. I think also, I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a bar on the stage, like an actual bar with an actual bartender. I mean, I was like texting, ordering drinks across. I'm like, hey, can someone have that bartender make me a... So it was kind of a unique experience in that there was a huge American flag with USO members. Like they got to be up on stage and enjoying the show on stage right behind us as a family. And then the artists got to come off the stage and go hang out in this bar and sit and watch the show also as an audience member. So it was just a really unique energy and a really unique setup that I hope to see more of, because I think it really worked well. All of us were like, oh, I don't know how the bar is going to work out. But it really ended up cool watching. I mean, if you look on the side stage during the show, all of those artists are singing along and hanging out. And usually you go back to your green room, you're done, you can go home for the night or wait until the final, everyone comes out and kind of sings together or whatever. But them getting to stay out there and enjoy it and celebrate with all the fans and us. And it just was a really cool vibe.
And did this must have helped you and continues to help you kind of get through between that and you're overseeing the foundations?
Yeah, I think it's just usually you have someone pass away and you have your service and you have a couple family functions and you have a little bit of time to grieve. But this has been something where, for me at least, getting to hear his voice over and over again and hear stories about how awesome. I feel so honored he was mine, and you're gonna make me cry. Don't do it.
Me too.
But I think that he is everything everyone hoped he would be, and he always was for us. But I think some people put their own perceptions of him out there, and to go through. I mean, have you ever seen a celebrity pass away that there was like no bad news to talk about? I mean, every other celebrity, all their crap comes up when they pass away, and that because he lived his life to do the next right thing, and he was focused on his career, building a life for his family and making it more about making the world a better place than about himself. I think I don't think you get to have those people forever.
Krystal Keith, thank you. I can't, this must be, wonderful and really, really difficult to have to do this kind of gig.
to put it together, to go through it, and now then to have to do this stuff and keep talking about it and keep digging back into it. We know it ain't easy, so
that's okay.
Thank you.
I just feel my feelings. It's fine.
That's what it's about.
It is the best. And I'm sure he's looking down. I'm sure he is proud.
I know,
no doubt.
Thank you.
Krystal Keith, thank you so much for taking some time. Yeah. And we can't wait to see it. We cannot wait to get a look.
You're going to love it.
8 p.m. Eastern on NBC Wednesday night. The celebration will happen. Toby Keith, American icon. Krystal Keith, thank you.
Thank you.
We've got the Krystal Keith version of what this show is going to be like. Let's go into the nuts and bolts of it. Alex Coletti is joining us now, producer director of this special that we're going to see coming up tomorrow night on NBC, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Toby Keith, American icon. Alex Coletti, this is about time you joined us.
Yeah, well, I you'd think I would maybe know somebody on the show that would hook me up.
It's so funny too, because people who are watching us on YouTube or we're on video can see this incredible, like between Roger and you, it's almost as though you were brothers.
Almost like.
Almost.
Wait a second. You are. Anyway. So look, you've done this type of show before, I know, which is, I guess, why you got the gig. And by this type, I mean dealing with a whole roster of artists and, wrangling and getting, little creative ideas executed. And what was the first thing that you were thinking about when you stepped into this gig? What was job one for you?
Yes and no. And it's such a great new experience, although it's similar, right? The multi-artist show, but by being a tribute to someone who had passed, that was kind of a different spin on it for me. And honestly, it goes back to Tom Petty. When Tom passed, his daughter and I spoke briefly about maybe doing something similar to Concert for George, and it didn't manifest. The band wasn't ready for it. And so I had some ideas in the back of my mind from that when this call came in to partner up with a guy named Adam Reed in Nashville and ITV and see this show through, I actually pulled out some old set drawings from the Tom Petty thing, called my old set designer, Bruce Rogers, and we started from there. So one of the things that borrowed from that idea was we wanted the family to be on stage, which is something you've probably never seen before at one of these shows. But, if an artist is up there paying tribute to Toby, they're going to want to see his wife and his kids and go over and give him a hug and a kiss. So we wanted to make that accessible. And then I thought, well, if that's going to happen, and as you guys know, backstage, when you've got 15 different dressing rooms, some venues can't accommodate this. So you put a green room together. You put everyone in one room. I was like, well, if we're going to do that, let's do that on stage too. So
Crazy.
we built a bar in Toby's honor on stage. And it's that field of dreams. If you build it, will they come, right? You need one artist to sit there, and then it snowballs. And God bless Carrie Underwood, our opening artist, not act. She sang the first song, set the tone, sat at the bar, and then stayed there and sang along with everyone else for the rest of the night. And so where do you want to go? I want to go sit next to Carrie. So Eric Church, Luke Bryan, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got this snowball effect. By the end of the night, not only was every artist pretty much on the show sitting at the bar, but I looked up and Zach Brown was at the bar. Zach wasn't even on our show. And somehow he got in and was on stage by the end of the night. So that was, that's what makes the show special and different, I think.
But that's no small thing. I mean, you're already dealing with all the variables, everything that it is just to get through a show with this many artists, this many songs, this much production. To throw a wild card like that and let's see if this is going to work or not. Like, that's a pretty big leap.
Probably not smart in retrospect, but country art, the respect for Toby, the love for each other and his family, it couldn't have gone any better it went better than we had imagined. At worst, we would have had an empty bar up there where I would have staged a couple of interviews and it would have looked like a set piece. But really, Carrie sitting there and then singing, and then Ashley and everyone just singing along. Toby's daughters are on one side singing. You've got the artist center stage, whoever's up at that moment. The entire audience is singing. And then you look at the bar and everyone that's been on the show or that will be on the show is sitting there as well, singing along. It's really a unique and special thing. And I think other people may see this and go, ooh, we should try
something like that.
But I think the magic of Nashville, firstly, those artists and how they are, I don't know that this would have happened anywhere else.
So how does it work for those, like, you get a call, you're going to do this, we want you to do this show. But then what happens? Like, it's just on you to start presenting stuff. You're handed a list of artists, obviously. Like, what?
So Adam Reed, who was one of the EPs on the show, he had kind of envisioned this before I was involved. He had met with Toby's family, Toby's management, NBC. He put this all together. And he's a great television producer, but mostly in the reality space. So he was kind of partnered up with different production companies to help get this idea, someone who does music. And I don't even know who else he talked to. I've never asked. I don't know who our competition was, but I got on a Zoom with him. We clicked. I did some budget numbers. Like, we just went above and beyond my team. We dove right in as if we had the job. And then, we look up and we have the job. And it was a very compressed schedule. NBC had a date in mind in August, which is, as you know, tomorrow. These conversations were in May. And the Bridgestone was available for two nights at the end of July. So this show had to be booked. And Rack Clark, Dick's son, did an incredible job because while everyone wants to be part of this and loves Toby, people are on tour in the summer. People go on vacation in the summer. So the fact that we got the lineup we did is no small achievement. And thanks to him and Toby's team all pulling in UMG and everyone there. But we had 2 days so usually, and you guys have been at rock halls with me, that's a 5-day thing. From building a stage, building lights, cameras, sound checks, rehearsals, a full show run through, shooting the show. All those things take time. We had 48 hours. Hootie and the Blowfish were in on Saturday. Thankfully, they're old friends. They let us hang some stuff while they were loading in, some audience lights and motors and things. But they left Saturday evening, Sunday morning at 4 a.m. By Tuesday morning at 4 a.m., we had loaded in, built a set, lights, sound, rehearsed 15 artists, shot the show, and loaded out. That should never happen. That shall never happen again. But
you say that now.
Yeah.
Now that you've done it, it's going to happen all the time. So for an event like this, there is the difficulty of, as we said, you have limited time. You have the difficulty of the artists that you might want being out of town, and you don't have the luxury, as you have, I know, on other events, of shooting a couple of nights.
This was one take all through.
One take, right. And with that in mind, in addition to that difficulty, you had to, as you're crafting it, you have to make sure that there are those moments, those respect moments, those moments that show family, the moments that the tearjerker moments. You have to craft that stuff. How difficult was that, and what was your take?
Well, firstly, country is not my first language, right? I had to learn a lot going in here. I have my favorites, but I've never done a show at this level in the country space. So luckily, I have really great people around me and finding the right artists. But Toby is so multifaceted. I mean, here's a guy that went from the oil fields to Baghdad to stadiums to, so many different things. He's the first guy to have his own alcohol. Before Clooney, before anyone, he had his mezcal. He opened bars before anyone. He has his OK Kids Corral, a very important charity to him. And why we did this concert is to keep that funded. His love of the military. He's visited active war zones through the USO more than the last 4 presidents combined. So here's a guy whose story we really want to tell. That's another thing. We brought military, Fort Campbell's nearby, and we put an American flag set piece right on the stage, and we sat soldiers in it. So in addition to the family and the musicians, we've got the military up on stage. But we wanted it to be a celebration, so we didn't want it to just be tear-jerking. But there were moments. Toby had recorded a song when he was sick. The last thing he recorded was a Joe Diffie song called Ships That Don't Come In. And we had video of it. So we were able to, with our wonderful live house band, which none of this would have happened without Kenny Greenberg and our band, perform the song live while Toby's singing it on the screen. And you just see every artist on the side staring at the screen. Hardy, Eric Church, Jamie Johnson, Ashley, everyone's getting emotional. The family's getting emotional, the audience. So that, and of course, Krystal singing. And the images of her and her dad that she gave us to put in the screens behind are just like, I choke up as a dad with a daughter. It's hard to watch. But other than that, this was a party. This was a party that Toby would have wanted and would have had a great time at. So hence the bar, hence Red Solo Cup, hence, those songs as well. And really, we do have those moments. One of the most stirring moments is General James L. Jones, former head of NATO and good friend of Toby's, came and spoke. And the reception he got from that audience was bigger than any star on the show, I have to say. And he told a great story about Toby and their friendship. And we closed the show the way Toby always did, with courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. And every artist walked over from that bar and joined Patrick McCullough at the mic, and you couldn't have scripted it.
Wednesday night, this coming Wednesday night, tomorrow night, depending on when you're listening to this, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC. It sounds like it's going to be quite the celebration. Toby Keith, American icon.
Thanks, guys. And if you miss it, Peacock.
And if you miss it, streaming the next day on Peacock. Producer-director Alex Coletti, thank you. Stand by. We're going to take a fast break on Sound Up and be back with music news. All right, we are back on Sound Up. Mark Goodman and Alan Light taking you through some music news. There was some wild stuff that went down this past week.
Yes, but we got one thing right at the top, and honestly, this may have changed into some kind of reality in between us taping this and the show going up, because there is a message on both the Liam and Noel Gallagher socials with Tuesday's date, August 27, with something ready to go. And from all accounts, for the time being, what we're waiting for is the announcement of the long-awaited, much-debated Oasis reunion. I don't know where this all started. On Saturday evening, a report came out claiming that the band were planning a full-scale reunion for 2025, including lengthy multi-night runs in Manchester and London. Rumors about a Glastonbury appearance are part of this as well. Last week, Noel, this is suspicious. Last week, Noel started saying nice things about Liam. That makes you think something is up.
Yep.
Noel said at an interview with John Robb at Manchester's Sifters Records, it's the delivery, the tone of his voice, and the attitude. I don't have the same attitude as him, Noel said, comparing Liam's voice to a shot of tequila and his own to half a Guinness. These posts started coming, and Liam started responding to fans asking him about the rumors. Are the Oasis reunion rumors true? Liam said, honest to me, I've not heard a peep. Then somebody was complaining that Heaton Park in Manchester was a terrible venue for concerts. And Liam said, see you down front, you big fanny. So all signs point to an announcement of
some
reunion. The things that seem to be the themes are a bunch of shows in Manchester, 10 nights at Wembley is the rumor, which would break the record that Taylor Swift just set doing 8 nights at Wembley. And that's the, with those aren't even specifics. Those are the specifics that seem to be heating up. And then we will see what the hell happens. And again, Tuesday, is the big X on the calendar. How much we'll find out then? Stay tuned.
It's kind of odd. I know that Noel has said, he wants to do it more than I do. He's got to call me.
Right.
But nobody has said anything about any calls being made. But this is, if they were going to do it, this is how they would do it, wouldn't you think?
Roger, since you insisted that you called
what's your psychic?
I'm very happy and very sad at the same time. On one point, them getting back together, touring, getting a chance to see them, and maybe an even album sounds fantastic. What I'm really bummed about is this could be the end of some really, really fun tweets.
Yeah, if it thaws the tweet beef, then that's a price we all pay.
I was at their very first U.S. show, CMJ, and they were phenomenal.
At Wetlands?
At Wetlands, that is correct. And I would love to see this band live again.
Also, the questions of who the lineup will be.
I gotta think this is going to be kind of a Black Crowes kind of reunion where it's the two main members and they bring in other people to just alleviate possible problems in bringing a band back together.
What's Bonehead doing right now? I got to figure he'll take the call.
Maybe, maybe.
So a developing story, but seems to actually be developing. Suspicious as I was I was like, oh, everybody's reporting. I'm like, yeah, everybody's reporting it, but all from the same pretty ambiguous,
Well, the fact that they are sort of bouncing off each other regarding this, fingers crossed. There is another mystery that is going on as we speak. This is the way rock stars do announcements these days. They just totally fuck with you. Like, what? What's he saying? Linkin Park counting down to something. This past weekend, they shared this mysterious 100-hour countdown timer on their social media accounts with a link to the website. At this point, LinkinPark.com featured a YouTube live stream with the same timer and an accompanying live chat filled with fan speculation, much of it anticipating the announcement of a new vocalist to replace Chester Bennington, who died by suicide, of course, in July of 2017 at 41. And there has been chat about this. Among the comments, I hope they announce the new singer. LP deserves to continue with their legacy, one user wrote. A female is rumored to have been the choice selected for, if it is happening, this new lead singer. The countdown scheduled to end on Wednesday, the 28th, just heartbeats away. Another
at least they got different days.
Right.
If those had fallen on the same countdown, that would not be fair to anybody.
Be bad, and you have to fire your publicist for that. How come you didn't know about that? We have been hearing in the music press that the band has been thinking about a possible reunion next year, considering hiring a female vocalist to succeed Chester. Their booking agency, WME, William Morris, was taking offers for a potential Linkin Park tour, along with headlining festival dates. They're going to be playing with Oasis. That's the double bill right there.
I don't think that's happening.
Festival Park dates. A tour is what they're saying. Headlining festival dates featuring Mike Shinoda, Brad Delson, and Dave Farrell. This is what sources at the moment are saying. The band hasn't indicated who would sing on behalf of Chester Bennington, but one source did tell Billboard that Linkin Park was hoping to find a female vocalist to front this band. That's what we got. Speculation.
I understand
rumor.
This is what we got to do. I feel so lame that the news is. Things are happening. We'll see what they are.
I have to say, in situations like this always, and this goes for Oasis as well, let's just call up the promoter. Let's call the people who booked the dates. They'll know. Or do you think that they're committed to secrecy?
There's got to be an NDA. I mean, they could be in those. That may not be signed for anything to say yet. We don't know when any of this is supposed to happen.
I'm just saying Lizzie Hale did a pretty good job with Skid Row.
Hey, I think it could be really interesting, and it avoids that comparison thing. Right. As soon as you have a woman doing it, right away, it's a different sort of arena. So we could avoid it. Yeah.
So very quick, no surprise here. Post Malone's F1 Trillion album, his country debut, comes in at number 1 on the Billboard 200 charts with 250,000 equivalent album units. That is the extremely not sexy term that we use now for how we count these numbers. It is his 6th top 10, his 3rd number 1, and also number 1 on the country charts. The 2nd largest week for any country album in 2024. Of course, only Beyonce's Cowboy Carter claimed a bigger week with 407,000 album equivalent units. Of course, the album has, as we know, 18 tracks on the standard version. I talked about all this last week, 15 of which are duets with a super A-list, super elite list of country all-stars. And then the long bed edition added an additional 9 songs that are actually solo Posty performances that in some ways I think is kind of more interesting than the 18 regular track album is. Though
is the solo stuff is country flavored though?
More country. So is
what do you think is the reason that he can do this? It's pretty freaking amazing. A guy who started on the face tattoo dude with doing hip hop, and he segued into pop without a blink. It was not a problem. Now he's segued into country.
We talked about it some last week. I mean, he's certainly been sort of genre fluid from pretty early on, as you said, in terms of moving into a pop lane, kind of not only staying in the sort of pure hip hop world. And that he's been signaling for years now, dipping into the country community and doing different duets and showing up at different shows and talking a lot about, and doing Dylan covers, on YouTube and, talking about his growing up with and his fondness for country music and folk music. And then these last few years, really leaning into it hard and bringing Winona on stage with him and singing with Dwight Yoakam and, more than teasing this as a direction. The fact that he got this list of duet partners for this project indicates, I think people just like the guy. I mean, that really is a guy who's done so many people just like being in the room with this guy. And B, or 2, I forget how I did that. Confidence that this was going to work, like just that this was a thing you were going to want to be part of and attached to, and it wasn't going to be embarrassing and it wasn't going to flop, and momentum begets momentum. And he worked with this high power list of Nashville songwriters. And what I'm really interested to see is what country radio does with this album. That'll be the interesting piece of it. Because certainly there are songs that totally, but given these writers and given the people that he's working with, that sound like what a lot of country radio sounds like. Those are not necessarily the most interesting songs on the project, but they're definitely ones that, could drop into playlists and could be big, huge hits. I mean, he could dominate country radio for the next, however many months as they just bring out more superstars from this. That's going to be the part that I think will be interesting. And, and will there be any resistance to that or not at all?
So he's got the number 1 album and he sings on the number 2 album right now.
Oh yeah. Well, keep in mind, this is the guy in the last few months who had the 3 biggest stars in the world really are Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Morgan Wallen. And he recorded duets with all 3 of them this year. I mean, again, just whatever it is, people are drawn to the guy, that whatever it is that he lends, whatever it is that he adds, he just, he's showing up everywhere.
What do you guys think? Because the majority of this record is a duets record, does that hurt its chances at a nod for album of the year?
That's an interesting question.
What does it do for at the CMA and the ACMs, by the way?
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts. I mean, there'll be a question of how much is it just supported by all the support players, right? That it's not.
But I think him putting those additional songs helps that cause.
Yeah, I think it probably does. And again, I think that it's, like I said, I think those extra songs, in some ways, they're more interesting songs. I mean, they're more old school country. And you just don't, is it like, that's the record he wanted to make?
Right.
If he were left to his own devices, that's what he would do, but he knew he needed to. Or is it, hey, I got all the pop stuff covered. Now what the hell? I can go further left. Yeah. So what the sequence was, how that played out, I think I'm curious about.
Country radio is under assault these days. Like, oh yeah, you think you're only playing that? How about this? You know, with Beyonce and with Posty. I mean, there's plenty of artists who aren't traditionally played on country radio that are getting it. They're being forced into it. One more thing on Queens of the Stone Age, you may have heard they made the decision just a couple of days ago to cancel all of the remaining 2024 tour dates. Josh Homme, was diagnosed with cancer, and he continues to focus on his health. Queens of the Stone Age regret to announce the cancellation and or postponement of all remaining 2024 shows. Josh has been given no choice but to prioritize his health and to receive essential medical care through the remainder of the year. And we know that he had to run from a European date back to the U.S. to have emergency surgery just a couple of weeks ago, and they canceled the rest of those European dates as well. So we're just hoping for the best for Josh Homme. He's talked about it. He's been pretty open. He was diagnosed in 2022. They haven't said what this surgery was about, but it's clear that his recovery is going to require pretty much the rest of the year, at least, additional time and care. Performances include several U.S. cities that have been canceled scheduled from September through November. Boston, Cincinnati, Chicago, and Madison postponed. Festival appearances as well. Memphis, Bridgeport, Mexico City, all called off. And we are just sending out the healing vibes for Josh Homme and hoping that he can get past this as quick as possible.
Yeah, as you said, not new news, but just hopefully a temporary dip, and he pulls through.
Mm-hmm. And again, we started off talking about Bruce being focused on death, and as all of us get older, more and more of our friends and heroes start to succumb. That's what happens. It's tough to swallow, though. I got to say, it's hard to have that conversation. My hero X has cancer and has to cancel shows. It's something, there's a new thing to get used to. Yeah. But you've said before, Alan, and then we'll jump, I know, about we're used to our heroes dying of overdoses,
right,
and car crashes or plane but them actually getting old and suffering the difficulties of old age and being diagnosed with things that might hit you in old age. That's a whole new experience.
That's right. That I think we're not adjusted to yet. We're just not.
All right, so before we get into our new music picks, we do have a few concert reviews from you, our fans, the Sound Up Pod Squad. The first one is from Gretchen, who missed our live taping last week, but we'll give her a pass. She had good reason.
Sorry I missed the live taping. We were en route to see Jane's Addiction and Lovin' Rockets. Lovin' Rockets was great. Daniel Ash came on stage looking like a giant disco ball had swallowed him. And David J. got so into his performance, he accidentally knocked his microphone stand down while jumping around. During their portion, we looked up and saw Dave Navarro was on the balcony with his fiancée looking like Batman about to swoop down. Jane's Addiction came out full of energy, and we luckily got good parry, and he put on a hell of a performance, and the band sounded fantastic. Highlight of the night was Dave and Steven hopping off stage at the end and shaking hands with people. My daughter got a hug from Steven and a drumstick. This jackhole then proceeded to break it in half on the railing, give her back half, and then took off with the other half. Who does that? Anyway, minus the weirdness, it was a wild and crazy awesome night.
The hell? There's no way to act.
And it is not easy to break a drumstick just like that.
And you ought to know.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be cracked already for him to just snap it or something.
And who does that?
Well, what a jackhole.
We also got an audio review from Craig, who recently saw the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar.
Hey guys, it's Craig from California, checking in with a concert review. Over the weekend, a buddy and I went to see Sammy Hagar with opening band Loverboy at the Concord Pavilion in the Bay Area. Now, I've been a fan of both of these artists since way back in middle school in the early 80s, so seeing them together after all these years was awesome. Loverboy opened with an 8-song set, which included lots of hits and, of course, closed with Working for the Weekend. I was pleasantly surprised to find out that even after 40 years, 4 of the original 5 members are still in the band. That is rare. Mike Reno may have put on a few pounds, but unabashedly still rocked the red headband and sounded really good. Sammy came on a little after 8 and played for a solid 2 hours. His band included Joe Satriani, Michael Anthony, Jason Bonham, and a keyboardist. Their set spanned Sammy's entire career, going back to Space Station number 5 from Montrose's 1973 debut, a few solo songs, a Chickenfoot song, and lots of Van Halen. Mostly from the Sammy era, but also 3 older songs, Ain't Talking About Love with Michael Anthony on lead vocals, Panama, and Jump. At 76, Sammy is still a great showman and has a strong voice. He may have let Michael Anthony hit the high notes on a few songs, but overall, I thought he was great. And I knew of Joe Satriani's reputation, but I'd never seen him live. He was amazing, and I found myself watching the video screens during his solos so I could see his hands in action close up. Overall, it was a fun night spent with an old friend, hearing songs that rocked us from middle school all the way through our college years. It was a great show.
Nice.
I just keep hearing review after review about this Sammy tour from a variety of people saying it's spectacular.
I'm glad Sammy's still got the voice. Damn it, he's got it. And oh my gosh, he's the guy who's going to carry the torch for Van Halen. Wouldn't have expected that.
Wouldn't have seen it coming, but...
Yeah.
But just as it was in Van Halen's songs only sound their best with Michael Anthony's background vocals carrying them all the way.
You know, I agree with that. That is, their specific, very specific Michael Anthony, not a great voice, but the Van Halen backing vocal.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. I get it. Before we wrap things up here, we got new music picks for the week. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go first. I usually let you guys go first, but I'll just jump in quickly with the 2 that I have picked. If you've been listening to us for a while, then you know I'm a massive Dawes fan. And Dawes has been going through some changes. They've released a couple of records that are really a lot more eclectic than they have been. They're sort of, AAA folk rockers, I guess. And they've been getting kind of deeper on some of these past records. Oh Brother is the new album coming from them, released on my birthday, by the way, October 11th. And
they knew.
It's called Oh Brother because it's just now the 2 brothers, Taylor and Griffin. And Mike Viola is the guy who has sort of helped to bring this whole thing. There you go. He did the music video for the track that they released a couple of weeks ago, House Parties. And they have a visual project, Still Strangers Sometimes, that is just out. So it's a completely different era now for these guys. Taylor, who is, of course, the lead vocalist and the writer for the band, is talking now about what it is to specifically work with just he and his brother. And they've been close all along and have really been the heart of the band. Taylor says, it feels like we're reborn in a way. And I mean that with so much love and gratitude to everyone who we've ever played with before. This is what it means to be a lifer, to have iterations. It means having phases and chapters. And this is a very clear delineation as to the beginning of a new one. So, Oh Brother feels like a 9th record, but it also feels like a 1st record. And the tunes that they have released so far, if you haven't had a chance, and if you are a Dawes fan, you probably have listened to them. If not, just beautiful. Really, really beautiful. The other new music that really stuck out for me, and I don't know if we have talked about these guys here or not, but Blondshell.
We've talked a little bit about Blondshell. Yeah.
Blondshell, she put out a new song over the weekend called What's Fair. And it's Sabrina Teitelbaum is her name. And she says, the meaning behind this, I think that any relationship between a mother and a daughter is inherently complicated. Maybe it's because of my own relationship, which was grounded in a lot of trauma and loss, but I think it's always confusing. What are you allowed to expect? What is normal? What behavior from a parent is okay or not okay, etc.? And to what extent does normal even matter when your experience is all you have? And I tuned into this one in particular, aside from just loving this woman, that to address a difficult mother-daughter relationship is really something. It's something that resonates with me. I have a daughter who has a mother. And
funny how that works.
Funny how that works. And as I think maybe it's a rite of passage for women, but it was really a really personal glimpse into Sabrina's backstory and just a freaking great song called What's Fair.
She's great. Big fan. Yeah. All right. So real quick, I have to say, laugh at me all you want. The absolute biggest surprise, I'm stunned by how good the Sabrina Carpenter album is. talk about, pop star. Been hearing Espresso all summer, no matter what, like it or not, wherever you are. The Short and Sweet album came out on Friday, and these songs are fantastic. I mean, granted, she is working with, the AAA A team of current pop songwriters, but the range of sounds and styles, the sophistication and complexity of these songs, these lyrics, and how clever and raunchy and, fun and funny they are. It's 36 minutes, you're in, you're out, and it is so strong. Yeah. Consistently strong. I really didn't. This was like, I'll listen to it. I should listen to it and see what this record is, because it'll, it's a big pop record, and really, really, really good. And I will point you guys, if you are skeptical, to a song called Coincidence, which sounds kind of like Cherry Cherry. Sounds kind of like Neil Diamond. It's a very like jangly acoustic kind of sing-alongy bop thing. There's other songs that I actually like even more, but as a starting point, I'm going to send you to Coincidence. Sabrina Carpenter, man, totally blew me away.
And Song of the Summer for my money.
Well, that's probably true.
Espresso.
That's Espresso. Went away and came back. Well, never went away, but was there, then was, a little bit overshadowed and then back. Yeah. But this thing is singles and singles deep. So
great.
So we're going with that. And then quickly, Lainey Wilson has been a really interesting story the last few years, really skyrocketed about 2 years ago with the last album into elite country music world, one entertainer of the year, one album of the year, has been very, very embraced by the Nashville community and has just been growing. And once again, came into her performance on the Toby Keith special on horseback. Remind you of that. Don't miss that on Wednesday night. Her new album, Whirlwind, came out on Friday, and she sounds great. I just was reading something that's kind of interesting. Jay Joyce produced the record, who is a great producer, but who does tend to push his country singers into more of a rock direction. And part of the reason that Lainey is so beloved is for staying very country. And, there's places where you kind of wish they'd gone with a different arrangement and let it be a little more sort of rootsy than where it goes. But the songs are really strong. And I'll having said that, go with a song called Bar in Baton Rouge, which is a big 5-minute full power ballad, green grass and high tides, organs and guitar solos. Not going to be a single, but going to be a big live moment for her. So I will pull that one out of the Whirlwind album from Lainey Wilson for my other pick.
Nice. All right. What do you got, Roger?
I have two. One goes back a week. Alan talking about F1 Trillion made me go back and listen to that record, more so the songs Post Malone does on his own. And there's a song on there called Two Hearts, which when I heard this, first of all, listening to that record, of all the genres he does, I feel his voice is most comfortable and most authentic doing country stuff. For whatever reason, he's got this lilt in his voice, this crack in his voice that just flows right into these songs seamlessly, like he's been singing country music his entire life. And this song is basically just him and an acoustic guitar with some little instrumentation, but it's a beautiful song, a heartbreaking song. And he just really displays how good he is at performing and writing and singing a country song. And it's just really, really cool. And I was really surprised by it.
I forget if I went with Killed a Man last week. I think maybe I did, which again is one of those bonus more solo, but those songs are really, really good. And of course having everybody in the world on there is going to get all the attention and going to get all the airplay, and fair play. That's what you're doing when you're doing that. But if you're interested, don't skip over or sleep on these additional songs, right? It's more than just here's some extra stuff.
And the focus is all on him. And I really like that about those. And then we got another song from Postcards from Texas from Miranda Lambert this week. And I've been liking what I've been hearing from this album. I haven't been blown away. And then this song drops, No Man's Land. And this is exactly what I love about Miranda Lambert. She can write such unique, witty ballads and deliver such powerful vocals at the same time. And just some of the lyrics and the way she turns a phrase and some of the just wit and creativity in the lyrics is what I love about her. And she brings that right back all in this one song. This is up there for me with Vice, with Tin Man. Like it's she can still do that whenever she wants to. So that's another great song from Miranda now, and I can't wait for this record.
Man, Roger, who was like the guy who was metal, and he loved Kiss, and he loved like every hard rocking band. You played in a hard rocking band. You have gone country, dude.
Well, listen, I still love metal and all of that other stuff.
I'm just checking back over some of your picks from new music over the last like month or two.
I know he's in deep. He's in deep.
There hasn't been a ton of heavy stuff to come out. And I will say that stuff in searching, whether it's Spotify or Apple or wherever, the hardest stuff is a little harder to find. You have to dig deeper to find some of these things now. And I have to do a better job of that because there's still some great stuff coming out.
Agreed. All right. So that is our quick look at just some of the great music that came out just before the weekend. And that wraps up this edition of Sound Up. Don't forget to check us on socials and on YouTube for exclusive content. And it's all happening up on socials. Do stop by and say hello. It's all happening at Sound Up Pod.
And please remember to go give us a 5-star review, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page, and always, always email us with text or with voice messages. As you heard in our concert reviews earlier, you can send all of that to connect@sounduppod.com. Remember, next week's episode will drop slightly later. We'll be out on Wednesday, September 4th, because of the Labor Day holiday.
But we will be here.
We will be here. We will not be sitting it out. Fear not.
All right. Thank you for stopping by and checking us out. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light is out.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti for Roger That Media, and distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Theme music by Smile from Tokyo. For more info, go to sounduppod.com.